got something small here. I don't know how much I really want to go into it, but I think it's important enough to at least talk about really quick. For those who didn't see this morning, why we're opening betting sponsorships in esports and how we're doing it responsibly, which is a bit of like a, huh? Because for those who don't know, gambling, especially esports betting or gambling in esports, is very much taboo for many reasons. It is very easy to manipulate and very easy to get in to fuck up when gambling is involved. I would argue probably easier than traditional sports for many reasons. And also access to players is much easier online than real life. For example, I've seen this at least from like the outside. I haven't looked too much into it myself. We're gonna read the article here in a second. But I've seen CS, Valorant players in the past talk about how they get messaged or people will send packages to their house or whatever and tell them to like throw a certain game or tell them to fuck up this one game or don't lose this one game because they have a bet on it. That doesn't really happen to professional players in sports, like IRL sports. Yeah, like the people lose their shit a lot, but they don't have this ease of access to those people and those individuals. And I want to read what they say first, but I have a pretty complex, I think, opinion on this because I personally don't think gambling and esports should mix, but I understand why they'd probably do it because they're just running out of money and there's no money to be made and to have, and it's probably kind of dying for a lot of companies. And the decision comes down to, do you have it at all, or should you even have it at all? Which to them, they want to have it, and if they have no money to do it, like what are they supposed to do? And there's a lot of this kind of came up with a year or two ago with Esports World Cup, and it also came up with how the bubble popped in like 2022. Why don't you think so? I personally have watched gambling destroy people's lives, and the audience for esports, I would argue, is significantly younger than traditional sports. And I would also argue that in traditional sports, when people are brought up watching sports, they typically watch it with their parents. Esports is not the same. When teenagers and kids are watching esports, they are watching it away from their parents. Their parents are not watching esports with them. Their mom or their dad is going to watch the NFL. They'll watch the NBA. They'll watch NHL, baseball, whatever, with their kids because they grew up on it too. But at least in my experience, and I think with most people, their parents, especially if they're on the older end or boomers or Gen X or even hell, older millennials, and they're not into esports, they're not interested. They're not going to really watch it. So a lot of kids and teenagers are going to end up watching on their own. And I think it's a little different when you can have when the parents are in the room to explain to them, hey, like you probably shouldn't gamble, and then they can make that decision when they get older, as opposed to someone in their room by themselves getting it force-fed down their throat and people going, oh my God, this is so cool. That being said as well, I have friends that most of my IRL friends that like were from high school or whatever, they all sports gamble like crazy. They love it. They have they talk about having like a sports gambling fun. Anytime like this NBA finals going on, everyone has bets. NHL finals, everyone's got bets, everyone's got all these things. But these are also people that are in their late 20s, early 30s, and they have the right to do it if they want to. But I also am old enough to remember that every 20 years or so, it feels like, people ban gambling because some giant sports gambling epidemic happens and some giant scandal happens. They're like, let's get rid of this shit. And then they get rid of it. And then after like 10, 15 years, they go, well, is it really that bad? And it like slowly works its way back in. And I feel like we're coming around to that cycle again. Let's read what they have to say. While we're opening betting sponsorships in esports and how we're doing it responsibly. We're opening up betting sponsorships as opportunities for Tier 1 League of Legends and Valorant teams in the Americas and EMEA with safeguards to protect competitive integrity and fan experience. We've always believed that building the future of esports means investing in a sustainable ecosystem, not just for today, but for the long run. That's why we're focused on supporting the players, teams, and fans who fuel it all. In 2023, I shared a vision of building a sustainable future for our esports ecosystem and later followed up with specific changes, like our new partnership model and deeper work to unlock more predictable revenue streams and sponsorship opportunities for partner teams. One area that's been on our radar and teams have been asking for us to consider for years is sports betting as a sponsor category. Today, I want to share why we're opening the betting sponsorship category for Tier 1 League of Legends and Valorant teams in the Americas and EMEA, and what we're doing to make sure it's done the right way. Why sports betting and why now? We know sports betting isn't for everyone, and some fans have strong feelings about it. and we respect that. However, the reality is that betting actively already exists in our sports and will continue whether we engage with it or not. That is actually a very true point. That's 100% factual statement. It is hard to argue with that. It is everywhere, and it already does exist, and it's already caused issues for players. And esports, I think especially, is more susceptible than traditional sports, but let's keep reading. Historically, this has been a restricted sponsorship category, and Riot has not engaged with betting companies. Teams have asked us to reconsider our stance, and after years of analysis to ensure we got it right, we agreed it was time to open up this category and create more revenue opportunities for teams. Sports betting, and more specifically, esports betting, is a space that more fans choose to engage with every year. According to Sports Radar, the total betting turnover globally involving just League of Legends esports and VCT reached 10.7 billion in 2024. But here's the problem. 70% of bets across all sports are placed in unregulated markets with bookmakers who aren't licensed. We believe it's better to engage in allowing betting sponsorships thoughtfully, carefully, and with the right protections than to sit on the sidelines and risk to fans and integrity goes unchecked. That's kind of bullshit. Let's translate that. We know what's going to happen whether we like it or not. We can't change the fact that it's going to happen, so we want to cut. That's the truth. If they're really coming to the point where it's like a lot of these esports are not going to be able to probably exist long term without extra funding, right? The big bubble popped in 2021, 2022. Remember, for those who don't remember, the old 2018, 2019 Overwatch League and into whatever started the whole idea that they could, or esports could be huge. It could be a global market. You could have teams traveling home and away. Sponsorships were flooding in from every circle. Investment was coming in, pouring in. Everyone was like, holy shit, this is the next thing. Big finance companies, oh my God, I forget what they're called. Investment firms were coming in, dumping ridiculous amounts of cash, trying to prop up teams, prop up esports, venture capitalists, yes. And it didn't go anywhere because their viewer base and their fan base are teenage to college age students with no money. We ran into this problem when I worked in Overwatch League. We had the most expensive tickets at like $140 for the 2-day pass for Overwatch League. And we were so far, like we were like literally punched and kicked into the ground for quote, gouging fans. And at the time we were selling them at a significant loss. Like no matter how well the event went, we were going to lose like hundreds of thousands of dollars unless we had found like a bunch of angel investors to come out of nowhere or sponsors. And so that's just where we're at, right? Like you can't make any money, and like teenagers and college kids don't have much money, so they can't get anywhere. Our approach: guardrails first. As the publisher of the world's 2 biggest esports. Wait a minute, you guys don't have CS. We take seriously our duty to teams, players, and fans to safeguard the ecosystem we built and position it for long-term success. This means fully owning our decision to unlock this category by establishing a well-researched sports betting partnership program that, 1, answers the call from our partner teams to open up sponsorship opportunities with betting brands to generate additional revenue for their financial health. I love that so far they are 100% hard pushing that. It's like, no, it's the teams that want this. It's not us, it's the teams. It's the teams. It's the teams. It's the teams. Almost seems like a set up back door just in case they ever needed to walk it back. Just something I've noticed. Guides and supports the development of regulations, monitoring best practices, and educational programs that protect the integrity of esports teams, pros, fans, and events. And 3rd, strengthens and reinforces the competitive integrity standards of our esports competitions by improving our ability to monitor betting activity for violations of our policies. That last one's pretty important because when this ends up happening, the chances of players and teams trying to take advantage of it for financial gain is going to go up. As if it hadn't already. I mean, I guess it wouldn't go up that much more than it already had, but I predicted that there would be more outside pressures, right? So like, for example, because it's not in the middle of their eyes and not in front of their face, yes, there's people that already exist. There's already a problem where like players will have their games thrown, or people will have literally like trying to send them messages like, throw this game, like right, like if you don't throw this game, I'll show up at your house, because like they're trying to bet money on it and try to like, you know what I mean, like try to like get in their head to try to win money, right? Like think about that, right? Like think about if you are a player and you get a fucking random package at your house and it's a fucking letter and someone's like, throw this game or I'm going to show up and like, you know, hurt you and your whole family, right? Is the person actually going to do that? Chances are probably not. But did they get it to your house? Yeah, you're probably a little spooked. And then even if you choose to not do it, right? Like you're still going to try your best to win. How hard is it in the moment to not think about that really quick as like a thing that just creeps into the back of your head, right? Does that happen in professional sports? Probably. Does it happen to quite the same standard? I'd argue probably that no. I'd argue no, because your access to them is a lot more gated as opposed to online. If these people are streaming, you know, if they're streaming, you could just pop into their chat, right? And also, a lot of these guys don't make the same kind of money as professional players. They're not making tens of millions of dollars a year, you know. Unless you're literally in the top of esports and like the top players in those esports. So you won't have exactly the financial protections as well. You know who's insulin against this stuff? Professional athletes. You know who won't be is professional gamers. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm getting at. Our ability to meet these goals means we have to equip teams with the right tools and guidance to effectively navigate the sports betting sponsorship space in a manner that protects a fan and esports event experience. Here are the highlights of how we are engaging in sports betting partners. Number 1, vet and approve all potential sports betting partners. Before any potential sports betting partner can produce a partnership with a partner team, they must be vetted and approved by Riot. It's important for us to bring the same razor of scrutiny to all betting brands interested in our teams. Well, I mean, they're not going to deny someone like DraftKings or FanDuel or something like that. I mean, I'll give you full disclosure. I've been offered sponsorships with them before. And when I turned them down, even though it was a gross amount of money, they'd be like, why? And I just told them it wasn't something at the time I felt comfortable doing. And then they were like, well, so we have this streamer and they did it. And I'd be like, okay, that's great. You know, like the time, especially in Overwatch, like, you know, even though my audience is definitely on the older end from gamers, especially in my space, you know, if I have a younger audience as well, I've watched gambling destroy people's lives. Like my grandma was a big gambler, you know, she used to love to go to the casino and do slots. And my grandfather, when he couldn't like really walk or see anymore, she wouldn't let him leave him at home by himself. So she would take him with her to the casino and leave him in the car all night. And like he'd sit in the car for like 8 hours waiting for her to be done gambling at the casino. And it was really sad. It was actually so sad that he got caught by security trying to take a piss because he was stuck in the car for so long, right? I never do any of this. And then when I got older, she wanted to go, she couldn't drive at night anymore. She asked me to take her one time, and I took her, and I told her I'd just drop her off and come get her later because she wanted to be there for like 10 hours. And she was really upset. She was like, no, you should stay. And I was like, well, are you going to leave? She's like, no. And I was like, so then why am I staying? I'll come back and get you. So I left, and I came back about 10 hours later. And when I came back, I had to search the whole casino to go find her. And I finally found her. And I'm like, hey, you know, it's 1 a.m, you know, time to come home. And she was upset. She was like, why are we leaving? I was like, because you've been here 10 hours. I just came back to pick you up. She's like, no, I don't want to leave yet. I'm like, well, too bad. It's 1 a.m. I just drove an hour back to come get you. And I got to drive you back home another hour. And then I got to drive home another like 30 minutes. Like I'll get home at like 3 a.m. And she was not happy. She was legitimately upset that we had done that. And then the next day she apologized. But in the moment, it is so rooted into her brain that she could not get over it. Granted, is everyone like that? No. It's the same thing with like alcohol. I drink, right? Not that often, but I do. But I can control it. I have pretty good self-control with a lot of things. That's just how it is. And not everyone can do that though. My dad was a bit of an alcoholic, right? Very privated. Like I didn't know about it till like I was like 23 or 24. He was super good at hiding it. But I found out from my mom like years later, like, yeah. So you never know, right? And addictive personalities are scary. It's very scary. That's why I turned it down. But anyways, let's continue. Building our established partnership with Grid. For a digital-first sport like esports, using clean official data is critical to weakening black markets and stopping shady operators from taking advantage of fans and pros. That's why in 2023, we established a global partnership and investment in Grid to create a single trusted source of esports data for teams and commercial partners, including betting operators. Any potential betting partner must use Grid to power their offerings, ensuring consistency, integrity, and accountability across the board.
Another chance to let you know I appreciate the content.
Thank you for 22 months, dude. Sorry, I forgot to mute alerts. Appreciate you. Thank you for 22 months, dude. Part of my pessimistic brain jumps to this and goes, wait, they just want to be able to, one, take a cut of it all, and two, they also get to control the data, which three, they could sell the data that they gather from this. This is like another money making opportunity. Am I too pessimistic for reading into it that way? Number 3, mandate team integrity program checks. As a part of our broader sponsorship guidelines, we've established a requirement for teams to create and assess their own internal integrity program, one that aligns with our expectations to 1, ensure competitive integrity, 2, safeguards players and young audiences, and 3, upholds responsible betting practices. Hold up, hang on, I'm sorry, did I just read that right? We've established a requirement for teams to create and assess their own integrity program. So the teams are going to assess their own integrity, just to be clear. Integrity isn't something Riot can uphold alone. It's a shared responsibility across the entire ecosystem. Teams pursuing betting partnerships must have established an integrity program inclusive of policy development, monitoring, and education. They must also assess if this, like all other partnerships, makes sense for their brand and their fans. Okay, I mean, I guess they're right. They make a good point. There's no way they could do it all themselves, but like that is kind of hilarious where like they're all gonna have to abide by Scouts honor. But I guess it's better to have the system than to not have the system. And at least my hopes is that part of it would be like, hey, you know, while you're playing as a pro player, you're going to probably have people that try to influence you to win a game or lose a game for their betting purposes. Here's how you can deal with it, right? That's probably something that should already kind of exist. So I get it, but yeah. And number 4, support and foster our Tier 2 esports ecosystem. While sponsorships are only open to Tier 1 League of Legends esports and VCT teams in America and EMEA, the overall program will support the growth and advancement of our Tier 2 esports teams. Oh, come on now. A portion of Riot's revenues earned from the sports betting program will be invested into Tier 2 across a number of areas, including increasing prize pools and creating new tournaments to support aspiring pros, additional integrity systems and development, and number 3, expanded training and education programs for our partnered tournament operators and aspiring pros. So here's how they're going to sell it, where they currently don't have the money to run Tier 2, but like just like any league or any upcoming thing, right? Like you have to have a way to work people in, right? College has actually stepped up pretty big. A lot of colleges field collegiate teams now. And so like, just like with normal traditional sports, there's an argument to be made that college is the way to go, right? They already have the infrastructure, they have housing, they have food, they can provide PCs, they can provide like stipends, right? Like they have the tools, but there's no reason for them to do that because they don't bring in the money, right? Like it makes sense to pay an entire football team scholarships and all that stuff. 1, because it attracts people to come to your school. Number 2, if it's a big school, you got TV partnerships, you have fan tickets, merch. Sometimes it's just like a culture thing, right? Like a lot of colleges love having a good college football team because students want to go and not just watch the team, but they want to get fucked up in the parking lot on that Saturday morning and then have a great Saturday. And then they're like, this was awesome. And then they just love their experience at school. If your team sucks balls, right? You have some Division 3, 2-14 college program. Nobody goes to that. Nobody cares. I work for a college that has an esports arena and our students love it. Hey, I'm not surprised. I bet they do. Honestly, I think collegiate is the way to go. I just meant like why more colleges probably don't go harder on like trying to recruit top tier talent to a college, right? They just don't have a return for it, like publicly, like make money for it yet. It's just not there yet. That's all I mean when I say that. Like I think it is great, but do you get what I mean? When I say that, when I like they're not going to make giant money back from it, so it's not there yet. So the idea is by saying this is like we can support more Tier 2 and stuff in the future. You know, it means like they'll have an ecosystem because. I mean, the way this is worded and the way the industry is probably going, in their eyes, it's probably this or nothing. And I think that's the case for a lot of esports. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see either more esports follow this trend or just start to kind of fade out. We're protecting the viewing experience. The last thing we want to do is disrupt League of Legends esports and VCT broadcasts with an influx of sports betting ads. So we've established at the onset that Riot-owned broadcasts and social channels will stay betting free, which means no ads, no sponsored segments from betting partners, and no betting partner logos on team jerseys. Oh, It will be up to each team how to craft how sports betting related content shows up on their channels within the guidelines of the sponsorship program, content platform, or TOS and local regulations. Whoa, that kind of changes things quite a bit. This automatically makes me think if like you have players on your team that have a stream, they're worth 10 times more than they just were worth 10 hours ago. 2, isn't that like kind of like the big ask? You know, my knee-jerk reaction is like, do this first, see how it lands, give people some time to get over being mad about it, and then open this up in like a year or 2. That's what I think too, or at least at the moment. I think if the internet has taught us anything in the last few years is like, even if people outrage about something and they get really, 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 really mad, they kind of just move on. They can kind of still do whatever thing that they wanted to do, as long as they do it slowly. Looking ahead, we believe that showing up in this space responsibly is better than letting others define it for us. We've said before that Riot is all in for the long term of our esports. Oh, I just had another thought on this. Long term for our esports, and that means stepping into arenas like sports betting with an objective to both guide and protect our brands from bad actors by establishing what good looks like, while also providing an avenue for teams to benefit financially. Wait a minute, hang on, I gotta go back. With any new endeavor, there will be challenges, and if we need to make adjustments, we will. Please know our overall commitment is to do right by our players, teams, and fans, as well as the world-class esports experience that we've built together and want to see thrive for years to come. So wait a minute, hang on. We've established the onset that Riot-owned broadcast and social channels will stay betting free. So my question is, how is Riot gonna, oh my goodness, it's from this. Wait, they're gonna make money from the Grid partnership. So the teams, the sports bettors have to go register with Grid, right? They have to register with Grid and work with Grid. I wonder if Riot's able to take a cut on League of Legends based betting / the data that they generate from having these partnerships, and then they use that to have more money for tier 2, because otherwise like they wouldn't be making anything, because like broadcast rights is the big one, so it has to be from data and it has to be from the actual betting themselves. They're going to take a cut. Holy shit, that's crazy. So all right, pessimistic / I don't know, realistic take. I think that this part last here is them kind of like being like, listen, we know we're going to get shit for it, but we need it to happen. And I think their hope, if I was in the boardroom, I think their hope is that others will follow suit, because Riot is arguably one of the, if not biggest esports not named CS, and that other esports will take up the reins and join them, and someone is going to get greedy. I have a guess on who I'd want to guess, but someone's going to get greedy, and they're going to go a step beyond Riots and actually show some small ads or some small things on jerseys, etc., and let them take the heat for it being on screen, and then they push it to be more mainstream and more acceptable, and then they can get in behind them. So it's like they're opening the door, taking a bunch of shit, stepping to the side, hoping somebody walks in front of them, and they can get back in line and follow through. I mean, realistically, it's like realistically, if the options on the table here are no esports at all, or taking stuff like this, I guess it depends on who you ask. I think from the company's perspective, they would take this every day of the week. I think from fans' perspective, I think you're going to see a lot of people split. It is a little sad, but there is nowhere else to go. Like there's 2 places. There's Saudi money and there's betting money or gambling / crypto. There isn't anywhere else to go for esports money. So they kind of don't have a choice, which is kind of sad, but it is, I guess, the reality of the situation. Didn't see that totally coming. So is this a Riot W? I don't believe so. I mean, I personally don't believe that advertising sports betting to minors that are unaccompanied by adults, because most of the kids / teenagers / young adults who are watching esports are probably watching it by themselves in their room, which is very different than watching it on the couch with mom and dad and brothers and stuff like that. But even in that argument, you could say that there's probably parents that talk about betting and stuff like that. But you would hope that at that point, the parents would be like, yeah, like this is still a dangerous thing, and like teach them about the dangers of gambling. And it is a fact that it's more and more socially acceptable. And most people that I know, like IRL friends that are not like gamers and they do other stuff, all do sports betting. So it is just kind of reality, even if we don't like it. And I personally don't like gambling, for why I explained earlier. But man, I don't know. It looks like esports is changing quite a bit, and it doesn't look like they have a choice though. They kind of have to change, or they're gonna run out of money and run out of whatever, and kind of feels weird. I feel like they waited till the perfect time. I feel like if they did this about a year earlier, I think people probably would have been really upset. But just from the last year or so of how things have kind of went everywhere, I feel like people got other problems. They got other shit to think about. They got other issues. This is probably going to be such a small, like maybe the hardcore Riot / Valorant / League community might get really upset about it. But outside of that, they'll probably die down pretty quickly.